Hello, beautiful unicorns. Yana Kasperczak coming into you live from Ontario, of Canada, as your certified professional performance and spiritual awakening core energy coach. It has been my soul's purpose to help women, to help you get your shit together so you can break free from that mental prison you find yourself in and build a life, business, and/or career that you are obsessed with. And today's topic that I wanted to bring up and talk about on the Tuesday story time with myself, Yana Kasperczak, is talking about why self-care is important and practically should be non-negotiable for mothers and female entrepreneurs. And I say female entrepreneurs, that's not to say it's not gonna be helpful for males. I work with women and I focus on women, therefore I speak directly to women in the language that they can resonate with. So let's talk first about what self-care is. Self-care is not just the bubble baths. It's not just the face masks, the doing the hair, the nails, the makeup, the putting on nice clothes. It goes much deeper than that, because those are just actions, those are just activities. But the goal of them, and this is what is going to make the difference, because you can do your nails, you can do your hair, you can have that bubble bath, and you can do that face mask, but the key ingredient is the energy that you are feeling and expressing through that act that you are, or that activity that you're doing. So I'll give you an example. There are, and this is a story of quite a few women, including myself as well. There was a time, and I'll say it from my experience, and every time I hear women talk about it, it almost sounds identical to my own, and it's, without bringing in anybody else's name, it's just easier to speak as my own story. So there was a time when I would go and take a bath. I would set the candles all around, make the bubble bath, dim the lights, or turn the lights off and just have candles. And the goal was to do self-care. Then I get on the bath and I cannot shut off my brain. And I am floating in this water, sitting in this water, feeling the weight of the world, going through my to-do list, going through all the I should have, I must have, I need tos, and not present, feeling like I am trapped in my body and not allowing myself to fully enjoy that moment that I carved out for myself, that I wasn't allowing myself to fully be present in. And it just in the end ended up feeling like a waste of time, a waste of energy, because here I am trying to do self-care and it ain't working. And it took some time for me and a couple of coaching sessions to uncover why that is. And it's because I was bringing my work home, figuratively speaking. I work from home. I do everything from home. So it becomes challenging to disconnect until you learn how to, and then you're able to disconnect. So as an entrepreneur, or as a mother, or as a stay-at-home mom, you know what I'm talking about. Where if you go to a job, that door that you come through in and out becomes almost like a portal that you're able to leave your work behind, and then you're able to leave your home behind. But when you're here all the time in your own house, it becomes challenging to disconnect until you learn how. And the how is through practice. Through practice, if you catch yourself going through that to-do list, really you got two options. At the end, you do have two options, where option number one, bring a piece of paper with you or your notebook and write all those things down, get them out of your head, so then you can get that out of the way, and then you can focus and you can just be calm and present in this bubble bath. Option number two, you can put it off and say, and remind yourself that I'm here to focus on me and to just be and feel calm and rested and peaceful and detached from all the have to, need to, must, should, could, and whatnots. And just don't do anything and let it go. It keeps coming back, you let it go. Both of those you can do. There's times where I will bring my notebook with me, being prepared for this part where all the thoughts, ideas as well come in at that time. It's like, I just want to relax here, and here you are, ideas and intrusive thoughts that come to mind, and I will write them down. And there's times, even though I bring my notebook, I choose to not even indulge and just ignore it temporarily, and I will deal with it when I'm done here. For mothers, for entrepreneurial women, self-care is about maintaining energy. It's about focus. It's about resilience. You need to tackle your demanding, multifaceted or multi-talented lives or selves. Many of us are multi-talented. And it's like a double-edged sword. It's a great thing until it's not. You get to have fun in all of these different areas that you're talented in, that you're good at, that you love and enjoy. But when it comes down to it, which one are you going to choose that you want to stick to for the rest of your life? And it's important. So let's go through now why it's important to do self-care and why it is meant to be non-negotiable in your everyday life. And when I say every day, I mean every day. Number one, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you wake up and you feel empty, how are you going to essentially feed your family, take care of your family, when you got no gas left in the tank, when you got no more fuel, when you got no more nutrition to give? You cannot, because before you know it, what you're going to do is you are going to find yourself being and expressing your internal being annoyed, irritated, short fuse, and unable to fully deal with whatever's in front of you from a place of love and clarity, because you're empty. And when you're empty, essentially you're hurting. And when you're hurting, it won't take very much for another thing to hit you, another thing to hit you, and another, and another. And before you know it, you're losing your shit. And your hurt becomes an external thing that you are now sharing with others and hurting others. That's why there's that phrase, hurt people hurt people. Happy people don't hurt people. A great reminder is to look back through your past, through your yesterday, this week, last week, and see how when you were hurt, you struggle to keep it together, and you struggle to be the best caregiver that you can be. But when you are happy and you feel good and you feel amazing, you give from a place of love and you do so much more than you normally would. And as a mother and as an entrepreneur, chances are you are giving a lot and you're doing a lot for your kids, for your business, for your partner, for your clients, for your prospects as well. Because how do you get clients? You gotta find those prospects and you gotta help them in the ways that you can, and at the same time recognize that some of them might not have been for you. All of these things that take time, and most of all, they take energy. So if you're not taking care of yourself, how long can you give from an empty cup or from an empty well until it runs dry? So if you want to live a life of obsession, when you're obsessed with your life, obsessed with your career, with your business, with your family, with everything that falls under the umbrella of life, you must start with you. You must feed yourself, take care of yourself, and then you're able to give from the overflow of your cup. So those days where you feel amazing and you feel great, that's the overflow that you're giving from. And constantly giving without replenishing yourself, burnout is inevitable. Overwhelm is inevitable. Your short fuse will become so much shorter to a point where maybe there's no more fuse left. And it's just you're burning yourself into the ground. Self-care refills your cup so you can keep showing up for the people and for the goals and for your dreams and for the things that matter most without fail. That's how you can get consistent. Get consistent with your self-care. Make it a habit. Make it something that it's not that you're doing it, is you actually already being self-care. And be present with where you are, what you're doing. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Also, on top of that, when you do your self-care, or when you practice your self-care and you become that self-care, it actually boosts your productivity. You become more productive. It helps you to focus more and better. It eliminates all the noise that is not necessary. It helps you to calm your nervous system down. And in many ways, you're also healing your anxieties, your worries, your fears. So we are living in a world that applauds for hustle, 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 and encourages that hustle. But how long, if you know people like that are just hustle, hustle, and hustle, as I'm sure you do, or you can find them online as well, and you can watch and observe and you can see that they're hustling, they're going. But what happens when they can no longer keep up with it? They burn and crash, and they start to lose themselves in that hustle and bustle. It's a culture, it's a myth. None of us can keep go every single day nonstop. We're not human doings, we're human beings. When did we forget how to be and how to be present? And part of being present, that's what self-care is about. And if let's attach self-love into that. The self-love is how you talk to yourself about yourself. Self-care is external. Self-love is internal. And we are meant to be doing both at the same time, because our default programming dictates us and reminds us how much we're not doing, that wasting our time, not enough energy, I'm too tired, I can't, I won't, I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough, not yet. And it holds us hostage. But when we start to break through those, this is when we really start to uncover ourselves. And all of those are coming from this illusion of what success is. Most people see success as a family, living in a big house, having 3.5 kids, having pets, having fancy cars, going on trips, vacations, events, and having a lot of money and having a lot of fun. But is that what really success is? Success is not, we're like, most of us define success by naming things outside of ourselves and forgetting that success is actually an emotional state. It's not a thing outside of us that is going to tell us we're successful. It's something inside of us. How many people do you know that have this diploma, this degree, that degree, this success, and they have the big house, they have the family, they have the kids, and yet they don't feel successful. They're not happy. It's because those things, they don't actually truly matter. We don't live for those things. That's what our default programming is telling us. We're supposed to and should be living for those things. This illusion that we're going to be happy when we get this degree, when we get that degree, when I know this, and when I know this, and when I have this house, and when I have this child, this pet, or this vacation, that I'll be happy then. But that's not what brings us happiness. What brings us happiness is knowing who we are, why we are here, what's our purpose, and what brings us happiness and joy. And what do we love? What do we want to do every single day? How do we want to be every single day? What emotional state do we want to experience every single day? And set goals from that place with the emotional state in mind, and not the thing itself that you believe will allow you to have that feeling and emotion. And that's where a lot of the confusion happens as well. Boosting your productivity is the second thing that self-care will allow you to do. By, this fear that I also had, where if I sit down and I meditate for 15 to 30 minutes, I'm wasting my time, because there's so many things on my list that I have to do, I must do, or else I will feel this way and that way. And then I'm not fully focused and I'm not really meditating. But meditation itself is very powerful and can be very eye-opening as well. And it really allows us to go within. And when we do that, we actually come out feeling renewed, feeling refreshed. It's like when you get that haircut, you feel amazing and you feel a lot more productive. You're able to do a lot more and accomplish a lot more. And also, did you know that just 11 minutes of meditation can feel like you had 2.5 hours of sleep, of a nap? And when I learned that, I realized that I no longer want naps, I want meditation. So if I'm really tired, I carve out that time to meditate for 11, 12, 15 minutes, and I come out feeling like myself, like I'm meant to feel like myself, where I'm no longer in this chaotic and frantic stage, or I'm no longer tired, because I have allowed myself to do and be in my self-care. and not talk myself out of it by, I should be doing this, I could be doing that, I'm supposed to, I must, I have to. And all of those were just draining the life out of me and emptying my cup and drying out my well, where then I've already beat myself up and I got no energy left to do the things that I am beating myself up about doing and not doing. And I'm a lot less productive. But when I take the time for self-care, I become productivity. It's not something I'm trying to do. I am productivity without forcing myself. Now, another reason why self-care is important and meant to be non-negotiable is because as a mother and as perhaps a mother entrepreneur, you got your little ones that are watching you, that are picking up everything you're putting down without you knowing that you're putting it down. So what you're doing in that process is you're showing them and you're modeling healthy boundaries for your kids. And by doing that, they will be doing those things and following your footsteps without you, what they would say is lecturing you, without you telling them what to do and how to do it. Show them how. Don't tell them. Show them. None of us like to be told what to do. We want to have free choice. And the best way that our children can feel like they have free choice is by actually choosing what they want to do based on what they watch and observe us doing. And the same things what they watch us not do. None of us learn from being told. It's not do as I say and not as I do, right? Everybody's going to do as you do and not as you say. Because words mean nothing and they're empty without that proof and validation that is seen and expressed through action. So modeling to our children what self-care is and doing and practicing self-care every day, and they will pick up what they want to pick up from it and apply what they want to apply from that without you telling them what to do and how to do it. Even, and that can be challenging with kids because maybe they're not doing it in the way that you want them to, but they're doing it in the way that they want to. Another reason why self-care is important is you're focusing on calming down your nervous system. And when you focus on calming down your nervous system, that's part of the healing. It will reduce your stress and it will reduce your anxiety. And it will also reduce your reactivity, your reactiveness to any given situation, where you will find yourself responding from a place of calmness and not elevated stress levels. You see things clearly and you respond to them, versus when you're stressed and anxious, you do not see things clearly. And chances are the choices that you're making are more often than not are going to be the wrong choices. But even the wrong choices eventually can be the right choices if you give them enough time and if you're actually learning from them as well. So with this whole pressure that we're talking about earlier, living in the world that hustle, 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 none of us can do it all. We're not meant to do it all. So when you give yourself the time to calm down your nervous system, center yourself, gather your feelings, thoughts, and emotions, you can see things for what they are. And then you can choose what your next actions and steps are going to be from that point. And not always doing and doing and doing. And on top of that, when we experience a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, it creates, all of those they create dis-ease in the body. We feel uneasy inside of ourselves. And we will feel uneasy when we feel dis-ease within ourselves. We start to create disease within ourselves. Disease is just dis-ease in the body when you feel uneasy. And there are many teachers that talk about you and the trauma you have experienced throughout your life, how it starts to show up and manifest and express itself through the pain in your body, through the disease in your body, through sickness in your body. It's because you have not been dealing with the actual experience itself. In one way or another way, you have bottled up and hoarded over your lifetime all of those pains, all of those hurts, all of those sufferings that you've experienced, all of that trauma. You've bottled it up within yourself until, just like anything, it becomes full. That bottle, that box, as I like to refer to it as the Pandora's box, it becomes full, that by you adding one more thing into that and avoiding dealing with it, the lid pops open and you can no longer close it. There's no going back or no backsies. And once there's no backsies, you're forced to deal with those things, but yet you still find yourself pushing it away and pushing it away. And I'll do it later. I don't have time right now. I'm not ready. It's too painful. It's too hurtful. But the more you neglect it, the more painful it becomes. The more you ignore that hurting inner child, the more hurt she's going to feel. And that's where the unboxing happens, right? This is where you start to practice a little bit more in self-care and self-loving practices and healing practices and tapping into yourself and those traumas without them taking over your life and your existence. So that's what self-care does as well. It reduces your stress and anxiety levels so you can see things more clearly and reset your nervous system. It also helps to reconnect with your identity, because now when you're doing that self-care and self-love practice, you're shutting out the world and it's just you and you. You and all of the previous versions of yourself, going as far back as the little girl, the tiny little girl that was still learning how to crawl. And you've experienced some things then that you do not remember now. But that is what adds to your default program. That's what created me. That's what created you and who you're being. But at the same time, you're not limited by who you're being and who you are today, because all of that can be changed. All of that can be healed and can be rewritten, so you get to start new actually every single day. You wake up and you are a brand spanking new person. And yet, you choose to punish yourself and beat yourself up from the previous version of yourself that no longer exists. And you do this every day, every day, every day, until one day you stop doing that. And you just find ways that feel right to you, where you are actually owning your shit, for the lack of better words, and doing what you know is right for you, so you can live a life that you are obsessed with. And self-care is going to be part of that, because this is where you get to be with you and yourself and all the versions of yourself. And you'll notice that there'll be less and less and less and less of those previous versions of yourself, where you'll get to a point in your life where it will just be you and your yesterday self. And yesterday self is more like, this month, this is who I was. This month, this is who I was. And this month, this is who I am being. So when you're juggling all of these different roles, a mom, business owner, entrepreneur, CEO, coach, partner, friend, sister, daughter, it's really easy to lose sight of yourself because you're continuously focusing on everybody else and who you need to be for everyone else. Because you do need to be a different version of yourself. Yet it's the true authentic version of yourself, but a little bit of a different version with everyone. You're not going to have identical conversation with every single person. You're not meant to. You can say the same thing in 1,000 different ways, and yet at the core, it's going to be the same thing. How I talk to each and every one of you is I talk to each and every one of you based on how and who I know you are. So that way what I say, you actually hear. How I talk to my daughter, saying the same things as I say to many of you, it's going to be quite different because she's also 14 years old. She's young and her level of awareness and comprehension is different. How I talk to our son, how I even talk to my dog is going to be different. We cannot talk and use the same language with everyone. So this is how some of us can lose sight of who we are. And by spending time in self-care, you get to stay and really understand who you are, the true authentic you, and navigate the world through the true authentic you. It also, the self-care lets you and reminds you to reconnect with the person that is beyond all of these titles, because you're not just a mom, you're not just a CEO, you're not just a business owner, you're not just a coach, you're not just a partner, you're not just a daughter. You are something much deeper, a much more profound than just a title. Title is just a label that was given to you or you chose upon yourself. Some titles you choose and some are given. A mother, you give birth, you have a child. However you acquired a child, you're a mother. And that's by default. Right? It's a title that has chosen you. It's not a title that you choose. Being a coach, being a partner, those are or the CEO, those are the titles that you choose. And also at the same time, they find you and they come into your life. So in some ways they choose you as well. So another reason why self-care is important is because it actually helps to prevent resentment. By sitting with yourself, and in some cases it might be even your triggers or your feelings or an experience you just went through, you're sitting with yourself and you're understanding what you're going through, what you're dealing with, and you are recognizing how you maybe are overgiving without taking care of yourself. And if you recognize that, or if you don't recognize that, and you keep going and you give and you give and you give, you will come to a place where you start to resent people or yourself. Because you give and you give and you give, but what about me? I want some too. I want someone to see me, to hear me, to take care of me, to remind me of something. But when you start to recognize, when you are doing self-care, you will get really comfortable in identifying those red flags that bring you to the verge of beginning to feel resentment, and then you can reel back and you can reassess and see it for what it is, and then shift that focus on yourself. Instead of giving and giving and giving, you give to yourself more. There's going to be days where the focus is going to be primarily on yourself and taking care of yourself, and not so much others. Where with others, you can say, listen, you're going to make yourself dinner today. You're going to take care of yourself today. I'm not doing that. Or you're going to say, I would appreciate a little bit of help today, and I would like you to do this, and I would like you to do that. Because as a parent, you get to do that. As a partner, you get to do that. As a business owner, even as an employee, you get to do that. But if you don't believe you're allowed to, then you won't. You got to give yourself permission as well. And when you make time for the self-care for yourself, you're more likely to approach your family, your business, and your life from a place of love, patience, instead of annoyance and frustration. And if you are looking for a long-term success or longevity, and you're living for longevity, not just for healthy life or healthy living, you're really living your life and your whole lifestyle revolves around focusing on longevity, then self-care becomes even more important. Self-care is about your health. It's about your mental, physical, and emotional health. It's all of the things that make up you. And it is the very foundation that you will get to build everything on. All parts of your life get to be built on this foundation. So if it's not a solid foundation and you build on shaky foundation, before you know it, everything is going to crumble and fall down and be a total mess that you wouldn't even know where to start to pick things back up and put them into place and rebuild that solid foundation. So these are the things that I would say are the reasons behind why it's important to make self-care and self-love practices a non-negotiable for you. And it does not involve as much time as your mind might be telling you. Because the mind goes to, oh, I don't have hours of the day to spend in self-care. It doesn't take that long. It can take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes a day. It can be the first thing in the morning, or it can be throughout the day, or it can be the last thing at night. You are the one in charge. You get to set up your own routines, your own habits, your own things that you want to do. And if you're practicing this self-care and it no longer feels right, try something different. Don't hold on to something that no longer sparks you, no longer feels good, you're no longer obsessed with it. Let it go. If it's meant to be for you, you can try it again. You can do that practice again next time. But for now, let it go. Try something new. We're meant to be trying new things all the time and not doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. It becomes mundane. It becomes boring. And we start to lose that zest and excitedness for life and for the things that we're doing in life. So try something different, reignite your fire, and enjoy the journey. And once again, when that new thing that once brought you zest no longer is, try something different. Try something different. If you're always drinking coffee and now you're bored of coffee, drink tea, drink lemon water, make coffee in a different way. Don't get stuck in a place of doing the same thing over and over again, because it does become boring. For some of us, and I don't know that many people who are in that way, but I know there are people who like to do the same thing all the time, almost every single day without much change. That works. This is where you got to figure out yourself as well. What works for you, what doesn't. Are you the kind of person that likes new things every single day? Or are you the kind of person that likes new things and new experiences once in a while. And then what's once in a while? Is it once a week? Is it once a month? Is it once a year? Or do you not like new things at all and you like to stick to the same things? But I'd also want you to check in with if you're feeling anxious or scared about trying new things, then that's a whole different ball game, because it might be coming from a place of you losing that part of yourself that once loved doing new things. And now your thoughts that are no longer conscious, they're subconscious thoughts that express themselves through your emotions that are telling you that new things are scary, and we're scared of new things. So we don't try new things because they're big and scary. And we're going to stay here in our comfort zone where we feel crappy and miserable. And yet it's comfortable, and that's what's called the comfort zone, because we know what to expect. But by doing and trying new things, they're new and they're scary because you have no idea, or consciously you don't have an idea of what it can do, what difference it can make, and how you're going to experience it, and what maybe there's going to be something that happens. And if you don't like confrontation, for example, maybe you'll be confronted with something where you got to deal with that confrontational scenario and you don't want to deal with it. So the subconscious tells you all these different reasons why you must be scared of new things, because they hold a lot of unknown. They're like that big scary cave that you're walking into and you don't know what you're walking into. So let me quickly take a peekaboo, because my comments are not coming up on my phone, but I do see there's quite a few comments through the computer. So hey Rebecca, how are you doing, beautiful? Thank you for the share. Rebecca says that she shared. Where is it? Rebecca says, I was just thinking that we need to keep filling our cups. Fill with the self-care, self-love, self-preservation. Yes, we do. It's an everyday habit that we do need. We do benefit from it in so many different ways. And when we are finding ourselves running away from self-care, checking in and seeing where is it coming from, what is that little voice telling me I must be scared of? Or maybe it's coming from a place of I don't deserve to spend time in myself and take care of myself, so I must continue living in the survival mode because I'm strong. And then Rebecca says, I find it funny that I have more energy in my 40s than in my 30s due to having intentionally and prioritizing my energy usage. It's funny, and yet it's not funny. Because really what it comes down to when you're talking about that energy, part of that energy is the mindset. It's that mental presence. So many women find themselves trapped in their mental prison in their 30s and then going into their 40s, and left unchecked and not dealt with, it continues into their 50s and 60s and so on. So and the reason for that is because we actually tap into our awareness and become awakened at about 28 years old. And we start to question things. We start to see things in a different way, through different lenses. And that is when it becomes an opportunity for each and every one of us to find ourselves in the midst of all of that programming that has been given to us and dictated to each and every one of us of who we must be and who we are. And every part of our existence fits into that umbrella. And when we focus on, as I'm sure each and every one of you has already experienced, when you focus on what's wrong in your life, you feel drained, you feel lost, and you feel defeated. When you focus on what's right in your life, you feel strong and powerful and renewed, and you feel capable. Most of us have this program, this default program that runs 95% of our day, is the defeated version of ourselves. And then we get to tap into the empowered version of ourselves by checking in, by working on ourselves and finding and figuring out who we truly are as a person, as an individual, and how do we fit in, and how we want to fit into the world and into the society and even into our families. Hey Jessie, how are you doing, beautiful? Happy Tuesday to you as well. And then Rebecca says, somehow things are easier to accomplish. Procrastination diminishes little by little. By tapping into consistency and doing things consistently, you find yourself procrastinating less and less and less, because procrastination is a form of self-sabotage. So when you start to find yourself in the midst of all that internal dialogue and all that chaos, you find yourself and you find all the things that are holding you back. And once you find them, you let them go, and you're able to move forward and not be held hostage by all those different ways that you self-sabotage yourself. And then Rebecca says, yes, sometimes I even feel resentful of my innocent toddler. Yes, I have been there. I have done that as well. There's days, even now, as my kids are older, I still feel and catch myself feeling resentful when I'm really tired. And I know I was so tired because I gave too much, and I gave too much to others and to everything, and not so much for myself. So I'm just as guilty as every single human being on this planet, where spending more time giving than to others, and even to the business than to myself. And when we're tired, when we're hurting, we can find ourselves feeling resentful. And this is the moment where I check in with what is my energy really saying? Because I'm not actually resentful or angry with my child. So what is it really that I'm resentful, angry with, or about? And then the answer comes really quickly. It's because I went to bed late. I ate not so well. I drank way too much coffee, and recognizing what are the things that are actually adding and triggering. And maybe I avoided dealing with something or took too long to deal with something, and it accumulates and accumulates and accumulates, where now there's a bag of crap that I haven't dealt with that is seemingly small, but yet I pushed it away until to do it later, and then later didn't come until now. And some things that there's nothing I can do about it. It was just, it is what it is. Rebecca says, even 10 seconds for a deep breath is self-care. Exactly. That's actually a beautiful reminder that we don't need 5 or 10 minutes. Just 10 seconds of deep breathing, calming your nervous system down, sometimes is all that you need. And you can do that throughout the day. You can even do that every hour on the hour. Why not? Let your clock be your reminder to take deep breaths. And then take those deep breaths. Deborah says, I like to try new food when I get the opportunity. Ooh, me too. I like to try new things. That's a fun way of trying new things and being using that as a reminder that often new things, actually, it's pretty much all the time, that new things are actually great and amazing. And we get to choose what those new things are. And that's why they're pretty much always going to be amazing. They're going to be great. And hey, Debbie, by the way. Um, then Rebecca says, when I first started my self-love, self-care journey after darkness, I did one thing every day, even washing my face, changing my clothes, and painting my nails. Yeah, those are powerful and great and yet simple ways, where sometimes they don't feel simple, ways that we can take care of ourselves. Recognizing ourselves where we are and how we want to practice that self-care to get ourselves out of that darkness and bring ourselves more to seeing and experiencing the world through the light lens, a happy lens, optimistic, versus negative, dark, pessimistic, where we are in that darkness, when we're, shutting ourselves off from the world in some ways or in many ways. Those are the ways that we can get ourselves out of, like for me, I would call it the mom mode, where I was just seeing myself as just a mother. And then I didn't like that phrase. It would be a phrase that was, when every time I would think it, it would trigger me, and I would challenge, and in the way of, how am I just a mother? I'm not just a mother. I'm much more than that. So then who am I outside of the mother label? And how do I want to be? And how do I want to experience the world? And I would do my nails, and I would do my hair, and I would, instead of wearing pajamas all day long, I only, wear them once in a while. or, um, or go weeks or months without wearing pajamas in just certain time of the day. By this time, I'm ready for work, ready for business. And prior to that, I can just chill and be in my PJs. So with um with self-care, often if you don't schedule it, it ain't gonna happen. Let's be honest. If it's not on your calendar, if you don't have a reminder, you will forget, or you will avoid doing it. So schedule it. Set a reminder either in your calendar or in your alarm. And also, some people like to have sticky notes. And it's a great tool, but how long will it take you to get to a place and a point in your everyday life where that sticky note just becomes part of the background and you no longer see it? For me, it usually takes 2 days and I no longer see that sticky note. So it doesn't take very long. That's why I don't use sticky notes as much, because I've recognized that it very quickly becomes just, the painting that you hang in your room that you like and enjoy. And then before you know it, it's just part of the scenery and you no longer are fully aware of it. It's just part of the background. It becomes white noise. So that's why what works best for me is a reminder on my calendar or an alarm, depending on what it is. And that way it comes up and I can't ignore it, because it's right there taking over my whole entire screen, that I can't get past it until I address it. So having a reminder, schedule it in, remind yourself to also say no to others' demands and anything that actually drains you. Asking yourself, is it a gain or is it a drain? If it's a drain, you have a choice to say no to it and not do it. And remind them, whoever is asking you to do something that you see as a drain, that they're more than capable of doing it themselves. Or delegate it to someone else. Choose the things that are going to be a gain for you. And when you need help, as all of us human beings and mothers especially, more often than not, we don't ask for help. We give and offer help, but we don't ask for help. And often we offer and give what we need most of. So when you offer and you help others, chances are you need it the most. When you're asking people in your life, are you okay? Are you okay? Is everything okay? Chances are you need someone to do that for you as well. Learn to ask for help and learn to delegate. Asking, you're actually asking, can you please help me out with this? Delegating is, this is what I would like you to do. If you need help from me, I will help and explain to you how you can do it. Otherwise, I know you're more than capable of doing that. And then allow them to do that. Are they going to do it just like you would? Probably not, but that's okay. They're not meant to. They're not you. And this whole phrase of it only gets done if I do it, and if I want it done right, I gotta do it myself. That's not a healthy phrase, because it creates this feeling of I must do it all. And this is one of the key ingredients of the good girl mold that is not really serving, and you feel the weight of the weight of the world on your shoulders. Maybe at this point you even have neck pain or shoulder pain, or maybe migraines from the weight of from the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you carrying that sense of responsibility from everything and everyone. So that's all that I wanted to share and talk about today when it comes to the topic of why self-care is important, and perhaps meant to be a non-negotiable for women and female entrepreneurs. And you want your kids to prioritize themselves, and the way that you can teach your kids is by showing them, not tell them, show them, right? Other than that, I will see you all tomorrow on our Heal the Unicorn podcast that we live stream into Facebook group Heal the Unicorn, Emotional Healing, Spiritual Growth for Women, where we're actually going to have a new host hopping on and joining us for indefinitely. Basically, some of you already know her, Anna Angelova, and come and check it out and see what she has to add and offer each and every one of you on your healing and spiritual awakening and spiritual growing journey. Until we see each other tomorrow at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time, or next week for another one of these Get Your Shit Together. Actually, that's a Thursday one. Story time with myself, Yana Kasperczak, on Tuesdays, where I go live on my own personal page at around 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time-ish. So until we see each other next time, have an amazing the rest of your day. And thank you all for being on here and sharing and talking and interacting with me in the chat. Until next time, bye.